Hello, this is Meghnad and you're watching Sansad Watch, where we tell you what the leaders you elected have been doing for you. It's week 2 of the second half of the budget session and here are the highlights. Ruckus season is back. Both houses were adjourned multiple times last week after opposition parties protested against the fuel price hike. The Rajya Sabha was adjourned after a streak of 12 uninterrupted sittings. The chairman disallowed a notice given by opposition MPs to debate price rise. That was followed by a lot of hoo-halla and disruption. On Wednesday, BJP MPs from Bengal protested in parliament premises over an incident in Birbhum. After the death of a local TMC leader, houses of a few locals were set on fire and charred remains of 8 people were recovered. In Lok Sabha, discussions were held on the demand for grants for the Ministry of Railways, Road Transport and Aviation. Speaker of Lok Sabha Om Birla said that 75 MPs spoke on the demands for grants. He informed the House that this is a record so far in budget sessions. Samajwadi Party leaders Akhilesh Yadav and Azam Khan have resigned from their Lok Sabha seats. Akhilesh Yadav had chosen to be an MLA of Karhal from Uttar Pradesh, a seat he won. As an MP, Akhilesh Yadav had an attendance of 32% spanning 8 sessions, had asked 0 questions to the government and participated in only 5 debates. He was hoping his performance in UP Assembly will be better. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari made a commitment to the Lok Sabha that India's road infrastructure would be as good as the United States before 2024. And if you've been following US politics, that's not an achievement. And finally, during a discussion on the Road Transport Ministry, BJP MP Tapir Rao praised Gadkari and called him Spider-Man because he has built a web of roads across the country. Okay. Nitin Gadkari as Spider-Man. Cue the song.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, तूने चुराया मेरे दिल का चैन.
Speaking of a web of roads, that's what has been getting our spidey sense tingling last week. The government is making a massive push towards increasing and improving our network of roads, railways, aviation, pipeline, shipping, our infrastructure. Remember when I told you how the government is collecting a giant amount of tax money from fuel? You see, governments use fuel like a constant supply of money right now. Whenever they want to increase spending, the quickest way to get money for it is to charge more tax on fuel. So none of them want to let go of this amazing source of evergreen infinite income. Even this fiscal year, it is estimated the government would earn 4 lakh crore rupees. That's a lot of money. The governments keep increasing prices even if it means testing the limits of citizens by pushing them to pay more. They'll keep increasing it till the prices reach a point which would make celebrities start cracking jokes about it on Twitter, like the good old days. Yeah, so as of recording this, the price of petrol has been raised thrice by 80 paise each last week and LPG by 50 rupees. As they continue to collect tax on fuel, now is a good time to talk about how this money is going to be spent. Last week, budget discussions were mostly focused on infrastructure, where the government laid out their plans for the next 2 years. I'm going to do a comparison of the targets for 2024 with the situation in 2020. Here's what it mota looks like. The Road Transport and Highways Ministry has completed building highways of 1.51 lakh kilometers stretch till 2020. They have set a target of completing 2 lakh kilometers by 2024. This includes coastal highways spanning 5,500 kilometers and connecting all states of the Northeast region with 4 or 2-lane highways. That's a 33% increase in capacity. Our railways are currently handling cargo of 1,200 million tons. They have been given a target to increase the cargo to 1,600 million tons by 2024. They have been told to build additional lines to decongest half the network and add 2 dedicated freight corridors. That's a 33% increase in capacity. Civil Aviation Ministry has been given a target to double the number of airports, heliports and aerodromes by 2025. That would mean going from 111 sites in 2020 to 220 in 4 years. That's a 98% increase in capacity. Our ships currently carry a cargo of 1,282 million metric tons per annum. The shipping ministry has been given a target to increase that to 1750 million metric tons by 2024. That's a capacity increase of 36%. Then we come to gas pipelines. In 2020, we have 17,010 kilometers of pipelines laid out. By 2024, the aim is to double it to 34,500 kilometers. That comes to a 101% increase. And finally, power. Right now, we generate 87 gigawatts of power through renewable energy. By 2024, the target is to increase this to a stunning 225 gigawatts, a 158% increase in capacity. Now, all of this is ambitious, but this ambition is not just random declarations. The government genuinely seems to have a plan. This infrastructure push has two objectives behind it. And if you were watching Sansad closely, you must have heard about one of them popping up again and again.
भारत को आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के साथ ही इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर निर्माण में होलिस्टिक अप्रोच, इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच अपनाने की बहुत जरूरत है। आने वाले कुछ ही समय में प्रधानमंत्री गति शक्ति का नेशनल मास्टर प्लान करोड़ों देशवासियों को सपना करने वाली एक बहुत बड़ी योजना लेकर के हम आपके सामने आने वाले हैं।
Still much better than this.
बच्चों, भारत कैसे बनता है?
गांव-गांव से। वो कैसे?
तो सुनो। जब गांव-गांव समझता है।
So, Project Gati Shakti found 12 mentions in the finance minister's speech this year. So, what is Gati Shakti? To put it simply, it's like the government is trying to form its own metaverse. Take that, Zuckerberg. A metaverse of infrastructure. It's like this. All the things I told you about railways, roads, pipelines, etc. are their own separate networks right now. They have separate targets, separate ministries, different people and departments doing different things. The Modi government wants to enable them by creating a meta network where everyone is constantly sharing information with each other in real time. In reality, we really need this. For example, there is this street outside my house which was recently redone. But then, a few months later, they dug it up again to lay power lines and internet cables underground. Then, it was patched again. A few months later, they dug it up again to lay sewer lines and fix things. Then, it was redone again. Now there is this giant ugly bulge outside after all the digging and filling. I mean, I bet you have seen this happen as well wherever you live. Why is it that India seems to be constantly under construction? This is a huge problem and the government has noticed this, finally. They were like, here's a wild thought. What if road people spoke to power people and the sewage people and together they decide to first lay the wires and pipes and then build the road on top? Wild idea! Yeah, so that's what Gati Shakti really is. People are finally going to talk to each other. Wild. Gati Shakti ties 16 ministries together for integrated planning and coordinated implementation of infrastructure projects. Other than this, it will also provide integrated and seamless connectivity for the movement of people, goods and services from one mode of transport to another. Gati Shakti will be a portal that these 16 ministries can access. It will use Geographic Information System or GIS technology with over 200 layers to help synchronize activities of each department. All ministries and departments will be able to visualize, review, monitor the progress of projects. Satellite imagery will give on-ground progress periodically. Status of the projects will be updated in real time. Other than this, there is another purpose behind this project: logistics. The business of transporting, supplying and delivering goods. For instance, if you order something on Amazon and it needs to be transported from Indonesia to Lucknow, So the Gati Shakti system would suggest a combination of ports, highways and waterways to transport the cargo in the cheapest way possible from point A to point B, all using one system. The Indian logistics sector is a $200 billion market. It is set to grow by 10% and become a $330 billion market in the next 5 years. But the cost of logistics in India is super high. Other countries spend about 8 to 10% of their GDP on logistics. India spends 13 to 14%. So the government is aiming to use the Gati Shakti program to 1. Reduce cost and 2. Make logistics business more attractive by figuring out cheaper and faster transport routes. Oh yeah, and as a side bonus, the government will end up making a buttload of GST money when internal trade goes up. It's a win-win-win situation for all of us. The Modi government is going to spend 100 lakh crore rupees to make this Gati Shakti project a reality. If this goes according to plan, then it would genuinely be a big driver for our economy. How? Well, take a look at this question asked by MP Manikam Tagore last year. He asked whether many ongoing infra projects in the country are stalled because of cost overrun due to the government's inactive steps. The government responded saying, out of the 1,680 projects that the government has been tracking, 438 projects have had a cost overrun. That's 25%. And most of it happens because departments and ministries don't talk to each other. According to Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, over a period of 5 years, the central government has suffered a loss due to cost overruns of 8,120 crores. That's in the road transport sector alone. Just to put this figure in perspective, the entire state of Andhra Pradesh spent this amount on its entire COVID response. By the way, overrun project cost is a fancy way of saying bureaucratic inefficiency and corruption. So, Gati Shakti is a super important project to prevent these cost overruns or at least reduce them drastically. Genuinely excited to see what direction this project takes. We shall be keeping a watch. Moving on to questions of the week. MP Thirunavukara sir asked whether the government is aware that a number of police stations in the country do not have any vehicle, telephone, wireless set or mobile. The government responded saying, as of 1st of January, 257 police stations don't have vehicles, 638 don't have telephones and 143 don't have mobiles. And we know at least one cop in UP that doesn't have guns. In case you're wondering, we have about 16,600 police stations across the country. So 3% of them don't have landlines. Sad. Next question comes from MP Priyanka Chaturvedi, who asked whether it is a fact that the import of natural gas and crude oil from Russia will be impacted due to the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict. The government responded saying India imported 85% of its crude oil requirements and 54% of its natural gas requirement, out of which only 1% of its total crude oil import was from Russia in the year 2021-2022. They've given a table which shows that oil imports from Russia has been below 1% in the last 3 years, with 2019 being an exception. But that does not mean that the government will not increase the prices for fuel. After all, they have so much to build, so much stuff in the next 2 years. That's all I have for you in this week's Sansad Watch. Listen, if you are someone who has seen roads being dug up, then fixed, then dug up again, and then fixed again, and you're tired of it, then share this episode with other people who are also tired of it. Because if you want to make Parliament great again, you need to watch it first. See you next week.
The subscription model is something that keeps News Laundry afloat, but we need hundreds of thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free और गर्व से कहो मेरे खर्च पर आजाद है खबरें.